Hello, Project Runway fans. Gold Derby senior editor Daniel Montgomery here with my fellow editor Susan Wazina, here to talk about the fifth episode of Project Runway, High Fashion to High Street, in which the designers had to create looks, their own interpretations of luxury streetwear, which is kind of an oxymoron, which is part of the challenge. And let's start with the outcome. Sadly, my beloved COVID, Kapoor, who seems like a delightful, joyous ball of sunshine human, was eliminated. And I think we might disagree somewhat about whether, who really had the worst looks. You thought the judges were spot on. I didn't think they were quite so spot on. So what did you think about the judges eliminating COVID?
He knew he just was not in the mood to do this. For whatever reason, he was missing Ava. He felt still lingering, I don't know, feeling bad that he didn't do so well. He had the Wizard of Oz look. Not a compliment. And I think he just lost his will. I mean, that first challenge was his best. Yeah. And he was the most happy, and he wasn't all burdened and with whatever is on his mind. But he obviously is a very emotional character, and for good and bad. So his highs are highs, but his lows are lows. So, and that, it does affect you. And I think, the time didn't seem to be a problem because they only had 11 hours to do what they had to do. But Rakan having a dinner break in the middle was not something he should have done. Poor Christian. I think he was really trying to help them, but unfortunately, a lot of them blew him off. And I think to their detriment that, they didn't listen to his advice. And I think Jamal was just so out of the ballpark of whatever he was supposed to be doing, with logos and kind of sporty, kind of hip, but still kind of, having some pizzazz. That just looked like somebody's, bedspread being that was made into a not very well fitting or made dress. I mean, you could see, not even in a close-up, all the threads that were hanging off and everything. So, I mean, his heart wasn't quite in it either. And Rakan making a farmer lady going to town, I don't know what that was about either. So, I mean, I thought that those three were, the worst. But I was waiting for Sebastian to be called out. That he got through was kind of surprising because they had a clip on the website that kind of made you feel his Aladdin look was going to be a big flop, but they just kind of let him go through. Yeah, and maybe because he's been doing pretty well up until now. So, but I do think, and we were talking about this before we started taping, that the non-American designers, some of them were at a disadvantage by not knowing what they were supposed to be reflecting in American culture, it seems. I don't know. So I felt bad for them, but, and I like Rakan because he is funny, but, I don't want to see his not very good designs either. So that does not bring me joy. So
yeah, I thought Sebastian's look, because in the preview clip it looks like a hot mess, and on the runway it still looked like a hot mess. Like, it didn't get better. So I was, I mean, maybe they gave him the benefit of the doubt because he's been doing so well. I didn't want him to go. I wouldn't have been happy if he was eliminated, but I really do think he deserved to be in the bottom three. Like, you did slip up this week, Sebastian. Yeah. So yeah, and I thought, honestly, of the three in the bottom three, I think the best was COVID's. Like, they said it was too suburban or something, or that the all the elements clashed. I didn't think they clashed. They like, first it was mostly neutrals, so it wasn't like he's doing these, you know, insane color combinations that were clashing with each
No,
other. It
it
felt
seemed like
fairly.
3 different separates to me that I don't know. He wanted to, and it was weird. You know, it's supposed to be American streetwear, and he's trying to reflect where he came from with Asians and, you know, whatever. And you know, I just don't think he quite knew what he was supposed to do. And it wasn't about him. It was about, you know, look outside the street and see what people are wearing in that neighborhood that they were in when they met Dapper Dan, which I thought was a pomade from Brother Where Art Thou. Turns out there is a Dapper Dan, but I don't think he
Not
makes.
just me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the idea of streetwear should be a little bit more far-reaching than American streetwear. I do think it's unfair to judge, you know, for the judges to look at, you know, Rakan's look and COVID's look, and say like, oh, those aren't streetwear. It's like, well, maybe they don't reflect the streets you're thinking of, but like, I still think, you know, I mean, those looks weren't that bad. I preferred COVID's to Rakan's. I don't think Rakan has made a look that I've really liked. Like last year, even when he was in the top three, I wasn't a huge fan of the big puffy sleeping bag around the shoulders thing.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, he hasn't really been doing it for me that much. So I would have rather seen him go home. Though I'm not surprised that that it was COVID. Like as soon as he was in the bottom three, I'm like, they're not going to let him slide again. They're going to send him out.
But that, you know, when they were talking about what defined what they were looking for, you know, it had to have some bling. So the sparkly stuff that people like Renee and Bishmay had worked, you know, but they made it sporty looking too. And also the logos and everything. And I mean, those guys did none of that, you know. Well, neither did Sebastian, but whatever. I mean, he had bling, but really badly put together bling. That shiny fabric did not scream, you know, urban princess or whatever it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that if you know, because they don't say that they would do a blind runway. Sometimes they do blind runways, you know, in past seasons, or maybe just on All Stars, or you know. But sometimes they do a blind runway where they don't know who designed what when it came out to keep it fair. I'm sure they seem to know who's designing what. Like they certainly knew who Bishmay's was because he had his initials on it. So, but like I figure they might look at like, okay, we like Sebastian. This was not a hit. They even had like voiceover where you know, where you could see Carly going over. You know, that's maybe, you know, a streetwear from too far in the future,
Right.
where they didn't seem to like it. He was
Yeah.
probably maybe the bottom four, even if he wasn't in the bottom three.
4, because I was waiting for them to call him out, maybe, but then because we were set up to think, oh, disaster will strike and one of the best guys will be kicked out because he doesn't know what he's doing this time. But didn't happen, and I'm sort of happy about that. But I mean, you may have a point. It's just his fabrics were a little more luxury, at least, than I think the other fabrics were. And that thing that Jamal made, I wouldn't put on my Barbie doll.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing what Jamal could do with that look if he had an extra day.
Yeah.
Because it was clearly unfinished. It clearly didn't have any kind of sport, you know, sporty, you know, streetwear sense. So like maybe he could have incorporated those elements in day two. Maybe those were part of the ideas that he didn't finish. But like he front loaded it with all these weird ideas that just seemed like for a completely different challenge. You know, so
together and not completely form into whatever it was supposed to be, a dress. I don't know. But it just had a really loose, silky bottom that was shiny gold or whatever. And that was about the only thing I remember about it. Except he had it what looked like safety pins on the side, gold ones. I guess that was the bling. I don't know.
Well, I felt the judges got it right on the top three, at least. I
Yes.
really do think, you know, I might have gone with Venny or Garrow Sparrow over Bishme personally, but honestly, I can't fault their choice. I really thought all three of those were really
No,
fantastic.
you know, and very different too. Like she did look like a nicely curvy sneaker.
I know.
Her
Like
butt
when he said he was in,
perfect.
when he said when Venny said he was inspired by the sneakers he couldn't wear growing up, I was like thinking, you got one day, you're gonna make a body sneaker, and it came out. It was so flattering. It was all in black, but it was so
And she looked
well fitted, so contoured,
yeah.
so complex, and it did. You could see the sneaker elements all over it, and it was so well done. Actually, the more we talk, the more I think that was my favorite look of the week.
Yeah. Well, Hester, she has that one thing going for her. Everything looks like cotton candy when she makes it. There's some different neon colors, but she can adapt it to what it needs to be, and I admire her for that. I started off thinking she was a kook, and she is, but she's got her own aesthetic down. I mean, she knows who she is.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
because she knows that, she knows how to adapt whatever her thing is into what they need from her each week. So, I think, yeah, it's sort of interesting. She's kind of stepping up to it. I think she's also gained some more, she feels like more comfortable being there because she has gotten praise, and they don't dismiss her out of hand for making everything pink or whatever, turquoise.
Yeah, I think the turning point for her was the challenge she won, the All the Rage challenge. That I feel like that gave her confidence, because she said right after she won, it's like, oh, I have immunity for the next week, and the next week was the unconventional challenge. She said, like, I'm gonna go wild. I'm gonna let myself off the leash and just do what I want to do and how I do it. And she did, again, with unconventional material, and it was fantastic, and it was all her. And this week, she took sports or streetwear, and I'm like, that doesn't sound like naturally Esther. I would have thought she might struggle with it, but she did something that felt very naturally her, but also fit the challenge really well. And so I'm more and more impressed with her as the weeks go by. I hope we continue on this Hester road, and we don't see her reverting back to all the Tool and all the kind of frantic.
Confidence now, and therefore maybe her taste level has gone up because of it. That she's gotten some sign that she's on the right path. But two things. So this week you can go to this 19th Amendment site and buy the winning design by Bishme, which I don't know if I want to buy a shiny blue bomber jacket with Baltimore, logos or whatever. But I can't. What was on the bottom?
Oh, I don't remember. It might have been kind of a simple black trouser or pant or something like that. I can't remember exactly. It was really 90% of that look was about the jacket.
Yeah, that's all I remember from it, but it was very cool. And it didn't look like you're going to the baseball game or anything. So that's probably a good thing. But I don't know, the prices on the other one that they were selling, which was Tessa's first one, it was like a little over $100 for each piece. But you can still buy that too. At first, I thought they said pre-sale. It's confusing, but they emailed me and said, "Oh no, you can." It is confusing. They agreed, so they weren't mad at me. But I just fixed it in the item that people could still buy that. So that's interesting. And the other thing, they didn't go to Mood. So once again, who did we not see?
We didn't see Swatch.
I know. He's just been kicked to the curb. Poor little thing. He's probably in mourning for Tim anyway. I don't know if Christian would be a good substitute. I mean, Tim would get on the floor with him and stuff. So I don't know if Christian's up to that. But it was an okay episode. It wasn't it's like the kinds of challenges they're doing. I mean, I liked the camp one because it was like a concrete idea.
Yeah.
But ephemeral things are very hard for even me to imagine what they are tasked to do all the time. So they seem, am I wrong? I mean, you watched the, more currency as of All Stars more avidly than I did because you recapped it, but it seems to me they don't do as crazy things. I mean, you have the unconventional challenges all the time, but the it's more in the realm of real fashion rather than, I don't know, luxury streetwear is all the rage too, apparently. I don't know. The worst one was when they had the body
Modification.
I hope I never see that anywhere on the streets. That would scare me.
Yeah, some of those were a little creepy.
Is not buying off, high fashion.
Yeah, I don't know who wants chest feathers or shoulder horns. First of all, if you're gonna have horns, there are so many cooler places to put horns. I would put them on my head or be like a unicorn or something like that. I don't want them on my shoulders. I can't put shirts on and
right. Yeah. I don't know that I hope I never, like I said, run into people who think that's a good thing to do. But the show is settling in still, I think. How many more episodes do you think there are?
It's usually 12 or 13. So or 13 or 14 maybe.
Still,
I would imagine there might be like a double elimination somewhere down the line.
But they show them drinking wine. I mean, the old version didn't really get into their, at home, whatever their home is when they're, on the show, drinking copious amounts of red wine. I'm like, you have to do things tomorrow. Why are you drinking so much?
What worried me so much about that is we got through the entire challenge of everybody talking about how no one had time to eat anything, and then they go back to their penthouse, and the first thing they do is guzzle bottles of wine. That sounds like a bad idea.
So who do you think, I mean, a different person has won every week, so it's hard to say who is the front runner. I mean, who are people predicting on their site?
Well, going into tonight's episode, the front runner was Sebastian. May not be that way after tonight's episode, or it might still be. I mean, like even the best contestants sometimes struggle with one challenge or another, and he still hasn't been in the bottom three, so he's still looking pretty good. One I would say, and she wasn't in the top three either, but one I would say I would think might be an even stronger contender to win is Renee. Yeah. Because honestly, I loved her idea of taking that kind of tuxedo look and turning it street, and she did such a great job with it that I was like, after that first challenge, and then she did well on the unconventional materials challenge, even though it wasn't my personal favorite look that week. She knows what she's doing in such a way that it feels like she can do it fast. Like she does a lot of work in relatively little time.
Yeah.
So I think she's got what it takes to win the whole
season. She's a multitasker because she has 2 or 3 kids, so she knows how to run her business and do a lot of other things in life too. So, and she's a little more mature, and I think that helps as well. But she doesn't get rattled as much as some of them by whatever they have to be tasked with. But I would say Renee and Sebastian are right now the front runners as well. But that could all change. What's next challenge? I forgot already.
Oh, this one might be one that you hate, but it's one that I think I'm gonna love because I enjoy. Well, I don't do it myself very much, but I appreciate cosplay. So they're doing. You have to create like a strong female.
I forgot what it was. I'm sorry.
Female video game character, which sounds awesome. And first of all, I think Garrow Sparrow is like right in the pocket for that one. That is perfect for him. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do, especially because I think half of them will be like the foreign-born contestants this week,
Yeah.
where they're just like, I have no idea what a video game is. What is this you're asking me to design for? So I'm looking forward to the ones that get it, and also the ones that are totally hot messes, and see what
Well,
happens.
it seems like though they're making you make up your own character.
Yeah. Yeah, they're creating their own.
Rather, if they spend a little money on trademarks or something and like do it for, you know, I don't know. I don't play video games anymore. Not since Donkey Kong. But if there were real ones involved, where they would do it with some semblance of what that character looks like. But if they have to make their own character, oh my God. I mean, Rakan is going to make a farmer lady.
Yeah, he's going to create the Syrian farmer
right?
For Syrian Farmer Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, that's why I forgot it, because I'm like, oh no, this is not going to be good. Hester will have a field day, though.
The thing I would like to see them do, and it's more along the lines of what you thought. Like every once in a while, I'll walk around Comic-Con and I'll think, like, I love all these cosplay ideas, but I love the idea of taking an actual established character, as you said, and designing sort of a high fashion homage to that character. So it's not like trying to impersonate that character, but taking the elements of that character and creating like kind of a runway appropriate look for it, which I would love to see that too in a future season.
Well, I remember there was a Betty Boop one.
Oh yeah, that was All Stars a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, that was cute. But they've done things like that, but who knows what they're spending their budget on. Probably feeding Rakan his snacks.
In Rakan's defense, I do think it was like, you can't expect them to starve all day, so I don't blame him for taking a snack break. I think his mistake was taking a snack break during a model fitting. It's like that. Block out your time better. Take the snack break before the model gets there, so that you can work with your model to get your design right. I mean that. So that's the I think Christian was a little bit kind of shaming him in ways that seemed not necessarily entirely fair. It was just bad timing to take your snack break during the model fitting.
Well, I don't think
this is the moment you need to be alert.
Christian probably eats very much himself. He's a small guy.
Which is what Rakan told him. Yeah. It's like, I don't eat, Chris, I don't eat for 3 days if I've got a collection to make. And Rakan's like, clearly.
Anyway, well, like I said, I'm feeling more comfortable with the season as it goes along. But next week might be my Waterloo, because I don't really want to see what video game dames have.
Well, I hope they're better than designs than what a lot of video game women have in video games, because
they usually don't wear much, as I recall.
Yeah, if they mimic the worst of video game culture, then they're not going to have to spend much at Mood, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But I hope they do. I hope they class it up, because video games, there's good out there, along with a lot of bad, but there's good.
Right. Yeah. We'll see. Anyway,
we'll see.
Well, I feel better this week that at least the judges were a little bit better, despite your not agreeing. In my mind, I feel better.
And I hope, I would love to see COVID come back in some form or another. Like, they have a mentor, they have the stylist Marnie. He could be like the cheerleader. He could just come in and just say, "You can do it," to everyone and hug everyone. And I'm gonna miss him.
Well, why don't you just find his Twitter feed or his Instagram? I don't know if he knows what those things are. You could reach out to him and say, "Hey, we love you. We miss you. So I'm going to send you a tweet."
Maybe, you can never hear too many good things. And so with that, thank you, Susan, for joining me again this week to discuss Project Runway. Thank you, everyone who has watched this, and we hope you're back next week. If you like this video, click like and the subscribe button as well. And, to see more of our videos, in our Project Runway playlist. And if you didn't like this recap, click like anyway, just to be nice.
Be like COVID.
Be like yes. Honestly, I should get a bracelet that says WWKKD. What would COVID for you?
Yes.
So thank you, COVID, and thank you everyone for watching. We will see you again next week.